In a world dominated by secret power, a chosen few were born with the gift of runecraft. Their incredible might allowed them to defy the very laws of nature. These powerful beings reigned as gods among men, shaping the course of history. Humanity praised their power as a miracle, but they were blind to its devastating secret. Among the countless blessings, one rune was feared, reviled, and branded as an absolute curse. It was known only as the Azura rune, a power that promised nothing but destruction. And this boy was born with its shocking mark, making him an outcast from birth. Hunted and broken, his desperate plea for mercy was brutally ignored. His own people turned against him, casting him out into the unforgiving wilderness. Branded a monster, he was exiled and left for dead completely alone. Yet even as his body was pierced and shattered, his will to survive was unbreakable. The terror in his eyes tells a story of a life stolen by a fate he never chose. An ancient prophecy foretold that all who bear this cursed rune share one destiny. His desperate flight from his past ends with a catastrophic plunge into the unknown. The prophecy stated that without fail, they would bring ruin to everything they touched. But just as he lay dying in the snow, a shocking discovery was made by a lone family. He was alive, but just barely clinging to life by a single fragile thread. These strangers also. Rune casters used their healing powers in a desperate attempt to save the cursed boy. This single act of kindness would become the catalyst for the very ruin the prophecy warned of. 7 years later, a fragile piece is about to be shattered by the ghosts of the past. A ruthless group of hunters begins interrogating a small village, searching for the Azura rune. Their methods are cruel and their patience is thin, leaving terror in their wake. After finding no trace of runecasters, they prepare to report their failure. But their mysterious hooded leader has a far more sinister way of finding his target. In a terrifying plot twist, he executes his own men for their incompetence. He reveals that their mortal senses were useless for a hunt like this. This horrifying villain has a secret power. He can literally smell the scent of the cursed rune. Once the danger has passed, the family from 7 years ago calls out from hiding. The boy they saved emerges from his hiding place, now a young man who has lived his life in secret. He carries the guilt of endangering his saviors, completely unaware the ultimate hunter is closing in, drawn by the scent of his cursed power. In the calm after the storm, a rare moment of peace reminds him what he's fighting to protect. But his adoptive mother's knowing gaze reveals a secret plan has been in motion for years. The bond between him and the girl who saw past his curse is about to change everything. They stand before the sacred tree where his new life began, a place of impossible rebirth. For the first time, he allows himself to feel a sense of belonging he never thought possible. This outcast has found more than a refuge. He has found a true family. But the sudden talk of wedding preparations raises a shocking question. As sunset approaches, the entire village prepares for a celebration that will defy fate itself. The night falls, and with it, a promise of a future he never dared to dream of. In a breathtaking act of defiance, the entire village gathers not in fear, but in celebration. The cursed boy stands before them all, his face a mask of terror and hope, and the girl he loves meets his gaze, her smile a powerful beacon against the darkness. In a jaw-dropping plot twist, this isn't just a festival, it's their wedding. Her vows are not whispers of love, but a roaring declaration of war against his cursed destiny. But as he prepares to speak, the crushing weight of his past threatens to shatter this perfect moment. Here lives the horrifying truth of his power everywhere he went. Destruction followed. The memory of being saved is tainted by the paralyzing fear that he will bring ruin to his saviors. He finally asks the question that has haunted him for years. Does a monster like him deserve happiness? His moment of doubt is interrupted by a shock of sudden, unexpected violence. Noe, his own bride, just punched him in the middle of their wedding ceremony. She refuses to let him drown in self-pity, ready to beat the truth into him if she must. A hidden secret is finally revealed. The village knew the risks of the Azura rune from the very beginning. They remember a time when a real crisis threatened to wipe them all from existence. In a devastating flashback, he used his cursed power not for destruction, but to become their ultimate shield. She declares that his power was never a curse to them. It's the very reason they're all still alive. Her words become an unbreakable promise they will face any future danger together without fear. The entire village erupts in cheers, their voices a powerful testament to their unbreakable loyalty. He is not a monster to be feared, he is their family, and they will protect him at all costs. In this one incredible moment, 7 years of fear and guilt finally melt away. He accepts a moment of pure happiness, completely unaware it's the calm before the devastating storm. The villain's arrival shatters their perfect moment with a single chilling whisper of disappointment. His cruel mocking smile reveals a hunter who enjoys breaking his prey's spirit before their bodies. This single moment of peaceful celebration was the absolute last they would ever know. In a blinding flash, the entire village is engulfed in an explosion of horrifying green energy. He awakens from the blast, his vision blurred by the eerie glow of an unknown catastrophic power. The first thing he sees is not his wife, but the blood of his family staining his own hands. His mind shatters as he's forced to witness the prophecy of ruin coming true in the most brutal way imaginable. The promises of a happy future are replaced by the devastating sight of scattered, lifeless bodies. An unthinkable power had descended upon them, tearing his entire world apart piece by piece. His desperate scream is lost in the chaos as he crawls through the smoldering wreckage of his home. Then he sees her, the woman who defied fate for him, caught in the epicenter of the living nightmare. The entire village, the people who accepted him and called him family, were all gone in an instant. Every familiar face in the carnage is a gut-wrenching reminder of the family he has just lost forever. The crushing weight of his curse proves his deepest, most paralyzing fears were right all along. But his grief is instantly consumed by a burning, all-consuming rage that demands vengeance. A terrifying voice whispers from the shadows, revealing the architect of his pain was right behind him the entire time. Before he can even react, he's slammed with incredible force, his body broken by an enemy he cannot see. He is utterly powerless, forced to his knees by a being of unimaginable demonic strength. In a shocking display of cruelty, the villain holds his bride hostage, using her pain to torment him. The monster finally reveals himself an emissary of death who has come to collect his prize. He demands to know why this is happening, his voice trembling with a mixture of fury and despair. But the villain makes it clear the lives of everyone he loved were completely and utterly insignificant. A devastating secret is revealed. This entire massacre was orchestrated to awaken the true ruin of the Azura rune. The villain then confesses to wiping out every nearby town, just to ensure there were no witnesses left alive. The reflection of the inferno in his eyes marks the death of the boy he was and the birth of a monster. Plot twist. The terrifying hunter is not the true mastermind, he's just a pawn serving an even greater unknown evil. Just as his rage peaks, shadowy tendrils erupt from the ground, binding him in an unbreakable prison. This isn't an execution, it's a capture. He's being dragged to a pocket dimension where time has no meaning. The villain promises to let him out when the time comes, hinting at a much larger sinister plan for his cursed power. Dragged into an eternal abyss and separated from everything he loves, his story of revenge has just begun in the most brutal way possible. In his final moments of freedom, the villain forces him to watch his bride's unbreakable spirit being crushed, but her eyes hold no fear, they burn with a final silent message meant only for him. It's a look that screams across the void. Her love was never a weakness, it was his ultimate weapon. This single defiant memory is the last thing he sees before his world fades to absolute black. His desperate reach for her is swallowed by the swirling vortex of his eternal prison. Trapped and powerless, his tears are the only proof he ever existed at all. The villain's chilling power has revealed a cursed artifact that traps its victims in their own worst nightmares. He is left utterly alone adrift in a dimension of pure agony, crafted from his own shattered heart. A terrifying voice echoes in the void, mocking him with the true purpose of his suffering. The villain's words poison his mind, forcing him to question if his hope was the real curse all along. He finally accepts the devastating lie that his very existence was the trigger for everyone's death. The crushing realization hits that there was never a way to escape his damned, ruinous fate. A soul-shattering question torments him: if he had just died as a child, would they all still be alive? In a moment of pure mind-breaking agony, he concludes that his selfish desire for happiness is what murdered them. The weight of his perceived failure becomes an all-consuming monster, twisting his love into a sin. The ghosts of his family become his accusers, dragging him down into a hell of his own making. He begs the memory of his loved ones for condemnation, believing he is unworthy of their forgiveness. His consciousness finally shatters, drowning in an endless ocean of self-hatred and absolute despair. For what feels like an eternity, there is nothing but silence and the cold embrace of his failure. He screams at a cruel, uncaring God, his voice swallowed by the blood-red emptiness of his prison. The will to fight completely abandons him as the pain becomes too much for any soul to bear. His only remaining wish is for the sweet release of death, a final escape from his torment. He closes his eyes, ready to embrace oblivion as his one and only salvation. But a shocking memory suddenly cuts through the darkness, her final words a truth he refused to hear. Her last message wasn't a goodbye, it was a command to live fueled by a love that defies even death. Her voice ignites a spark in the abyss, shattering his despair with one unthinkable realization. It wasn't his fault. He wasn't their ruin. He was the reason they had a life they were willing to die for. His grief doesn't disappear. It transforms into a roaring volcanic rage that demands retribution. The villain made a fatal mistake. They didn't just create a victim. They forged a god of vengeance. Plot twist. The Azura rune wasn't meant to be awakened by sorrow. It's awakened by rage, and is about to unleash hell. He rejects the sweet release of death, realizing he has no right to give up on their memory. A voice from within his own soul screams back at him, reminding him of his one remaining purpose. In that moment the boy dies, and a single chilling thought takes root in the ruins of his heart. That thought is revenge, and it consumes every last shred of his humanity. The prophecy of ruin echoes in his mind, but it no longer sounds like a curse. Now it sounds like a promise of the devastation he will unleash on his enemies. He remembers the villain's mocking words, finally understanding the terrifying truth behind them. If they wanted to see ruin, he would personally deliver it to their doorstep. This isn't just about vengeance anymore, it's about redefining the very meaning of his power.